Alright, hey guys, as you can see I'm on the other side of the room because my laptop was dying, so I had to plug it in. But you can also see that I am on the 8th period Google Classroom under the assignment Cellular Transport. So what we're going to do in this video is review those activities that were meant to be done in class throughout the PowerPoint. Yes, because they were meant to be like check for understandings, and they're also going to help us just organize our thoughts. We learned a lot today about passive and active transport, and we just kind of want to see those identified, those terms and images identified, and then compare that each category to one another. So without further ado, we're going to just jump on to Cell Transport Graphic Organizer real quick. Boom. Awesome. So I'm going to start with the terms as opposed to the images. I would have highly recommended that. We already have passive transport identified, so we really don't need these terms too much. But just to recap, active transport does require energy while passive transport does not. And that is the main difference between the two categories of cell transport. I'm going to start working left to right, but because I've already done this quite a few times, just today alone, I am going to kind of weave my way through the graphic organizer. So first I see on the far left with passive transport, there's a type of passive transport that involves the movement of water. Well, we only talked about one type of transport that involved the movement of water, and that was osmosis. Okay. Then I'm going to move my way to the far right, where I see under active transport we have particles exiting a cell. Wow, exit a cell sounds like exocytosis. There we go. Same thing to the right, particles enter a cell. Sounds just like endocytosis. So there we go. Boom. Okay, my attention is now drawn towards the middle, where I see that under passive and active transport we have each has one type of transport that uses a protein. Well, we talked about, of course, facilitated diffusion and protein pump. That sodium potassium pump. Remember, pump, we're talking about the use of energy. So we automatically know that this protein pump is going to be active. That means that this facilitated diffusion, in which we need a facilitator, which is that protein, is going to be under passive transport. That leaves us with one left, the simplest of all types of transport, which is diffusion. Okay, that's where the solutes are moving from a high to a low concentration. And they're very, very small solutes as well. So that is our terms. Now let's hop over to these images and see what we've got here. Automatically, I see two that stick out to me. That is this bad boy and this one here. I'm just I'm making them bigger so that you can see them a little better. But they drew my attention because of these bright orange things. They kind of look like hot dog buns. Well, remember what I said looked like a hot dog bun? Those proteins, those protein channels to be specific. The next thing that I want to take a look at is the arrows, because I see that the arrows are going in two opposite directions. And the second thing that I notice is the use of, there's like a little yellow star in this right one. It says ATP on it. Wow, what's ATP? ATP is a form of energy. Okay, so it looks like the image on the right is trying to use energy to force those molecules from a low to a high concentration. Wow, that sounds exactly like a protein pump, 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 right? Because we are forcing those particles from a low to a high concentration. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under protein pump. that means by default we know that this is the only other protein transport that uses a protein, so it has to be facilitated diffusion. But just to double check our thought process, we can see that the arrow is moving from high to a low concentration. So it looks like our guess here was right. There we go. Next thing, I see that these, I'm just moving to organize them, these two little wonky looking ones. I think I want to do those last because they're just weird looking. But if I take a look at the other two that are left, let's just make them look a little bigger so that we have an idea. Okay, so I'm looking at the image on the right where we have solutes and apparently water molecules as well. Looks like these little tiny blue dots are water, and we can see these water particles moving from a low to a high concentration. So that's good. That's what we see happen in osmosis. Remember, osmosis is going to be the only type of transport that involves the movement of water. So I can bring this picture down to size and go ahead and put it there. That leaves us with a simple diffusion, or a simple image of diffusion where we have these molecules that we can clearly see are moving directly through the membrane, because we've got one right here. They're moving from a high to a low concentration. Okay, so that is our simple diffusion under passive transport. That leaves us with exo and endocytosis. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on this image one more again for each of them. I see some words here, extra and intracellular. Just as a heads up, extracellular means outside of, while intracellular means inside of the cell, right? So cellular meaning the cell, X outside, inside. Okay, so right away I can take a look at the direction of the arrows and immediately know if those solutes are moving into or out of the cell. So on the right, this picture, I see the arrow going from out of into, so that means the solutes are moving into the cell, which means it must be endocytosis. Okay, right away, endocytosis. By default, that means this image must be associated with exocytosis, but just to be on the safe side, the arrow is moving from the inside to the outside, so it's moving those solutes outside of the cell. So that's going to be, since those solutes are exiting the cell, that will be exocytosis. And this is what our final product should look like. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can reach me by email and Google Classroom, of course, or you can ask me when we see each other in class. Oh, that being said, I'm not going to review the vocab with you because vocab is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to have the answers word for word in your notes, and I know that you guys use Google as a friend. But I still recommend it because it's going to help clear your thought process here, right? We're simply matching. It's a drag and drop. And then last but not least, do not forget, please do not forget your third activity for this lesson, okay? And this is the activity that you are submitting to me through Google Classroom. All right, so I'm going to click here to open it so I can just show you very quickly what it looks like. It seems long, but it's very definition heavy on the first page and a half. Okay, and then as soon as, well, I suppose the first 2 pages, and then once we get through those definitions, it's strictly images. So we have 11 images that you just need to identify what's going on. For example, if I take a look at this first image, fresh water moving into a single cell. So automatically I know the only time we see the movement of water is in osmosis. So I automatically know that osmosis is occurring here. Okay, if I wanted to label the type of osmosis, I could see, well, water is moving into the cell, so we must be coming a hippo, which means we're in a hypo or hypotonic solution. Okay, that's just an example there of how to complete this activity. So please, once you've done so, submit it in Google Classroom and I'll get it graded. All right, hope to see you guys soon. Ciao.